Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री Gurave Namaha. We are in Jnaneshwari, chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita by Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Chapter 16, verse 18, OV number 389. And we saw what we are seeing is what are the characteristic traits of the Asura person. And last week we saw self-glorifying and stubborn, drunk with wealth and pride. They offer sacrifices in name only, ostentatiously not conforming to scriptural injunctions. Yeah. So I explained quite a bit last week. I'm not going to repeat that. You can so basically they are living a licentious life, stubborn. My way is the highway, and what I say is correct. And such people, they disregard the scriptures. And why they disregard the scriptures? Because they think they are only myth. They are just ideas by some stupid people in the past. But no, when we say scriptures means the Shrutis, the Vedas, the Smritis, the Puranas, Itihas, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and Aptavachan, which is the words of the saints and sages. These are considered as authority. And words of saints, sages, those who are realized, not just any Tom, Dick and Harry like us who's wearing a sannyasi cloth. No. Those who are realized masters. And in this way, but they feel, oh, great masters, what's so great about him? Because these people, the asuras, they cannot stand the presence of a realized master, of the devotees, of those who have given up this world in search, in seeking the union for the divine. How can you give up the world? Nobody is like this. They just don't want to accept that truth, because they are so addicted to their disposition, which is towards the world, which is nothing but name and form. And their disposition is only me, 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 me. And any way, which way it can, they will enhance their name, increase their importance. We saw all those things in the previous verse. Now in the 18th verse, Ahankaram balam darpa, Ahankaram balam darpa, Kamam krodham cha sanshritaha, Kamam krodham cha sanshritaha, Mamatma paradeheshu, Mamatma paradehešu pradvishantobhyasuyakaha, pradvishantobhyasuyakaha. In the 18th verse, Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, or Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, given to egoism, strength and arrogance. Ahankar is egoism, balam is strength, and darpa is arrogance, krodham is kamam is desire, krodham is anger, wrath. These malicious persons cavil at me at their own, in their own and others' bodies, which means they are not ready to accept that there is a higher principle functioning through this body, and that principle has never been born, has never died, has got more potential. They are not ready to accept, and therefore they disregard, and because they disregard this principle within their self, therefore they disregard this higher principle, the possibility of the higher principle expressing through all living beings out there, and therefore disrespect for the people, disrespect for nature, just use and abuse the world to enhance your status and your wealth and your name and fame. So that empathy, that compassion, that love for the world, which is natural when we are self-oriented, when we are divine-oriented, it is natural. So Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, Mag मग पुढा भैरी निशाण लावणी ते दीक्षितपण जगी फोकारिती आण वावो वावो तेव्हा महत्वे तेणे अधमा गर्वा चढे महिमा जैसे लेवे दिधले तमा काजळाचे. He says, then beating big kettle drums and unfurling flags, they show themselves off as initiated sacrificers, but all this is in vain. These mean persons become self-conceited by this false greatness, as darkness given a coating of lamp black becomes more dark. So here she clearly is saying, then bearing big kettle drums and unfurling flags, they show themselves off as initiated sacrificers. They show themselves as the upholders of culture and religion. They don't believe it. They don't believe in the religion. They don't believe in the culture. But they wear the right garb. टोपी पहनेंगे, टीका लगाएंगे, रेलवे लाइन बनाएंगे, मंत्र भी चैंट करेंगे, पूजा भी करेंगे, but it is for some other ulterior motive. It is not out of faith. It is not out of love for the scriptures or the divine. They are doing it for money. And these are the people who say, oh, I have made enough in my life. I am doing puja in my old age only to give that money as dakshina or in charity. Who knows what they are doing? Who knows what they are doing? We can only take their word. If you are doing only in charity, then do the charity of not asking anything in return for the services that you are offering. No, but you want to charge. Similarly, last week we talked about all these Bhagavad, those who speak on Bhagavad and satsangs, and they demand so much money, etc., etc. All these are just humbug, bogus people. They are, they are hypocrites. They don't believe in God. In the name of God, they are satisfying their desires. These mean persons become self-conceited by this false greatness. So they are great in their own eyes. Their estimation of themselves in themselves is I am the greater than the greatest, I am the greatest devotee, I am the greatest ritualist, I am the greatest mantra chanter, I am the greatest speaker. Others, they don't care, but in their mind they are like that. तैसे मौढ़ा घणावे, औद्धत्य उंचावे, अहंकारू दुणावे, अविवेक कुही, मग दुजियाची भाष, नुरवावया निशेष, बळीयेपणा अधिक होय बळ, ऐसा अहंकार बळा झालिया एक वळा, दर्पसागरू मर्याद वेळा, सांडूनी उते, मग वो संडिलेनी दर्पे, कामाही पित्त कुरूपे, तया धगी सैंघ पळिपे, क्रोधाग्नितो, तेत उन्हाळा आगी खरमरा, तेला तुपाचिया कोठारा, लागला आणि वारा, सुटला जैसा. He says, so their folly and arrogance increase and their egotism and thoughtlessness become doubled. Then they increase their power till more, still more, so that no one should take anybody else's name. The other day, I was at someone's place and they were watching what is the effect. There was a program on the solar eclipse that just happened, and so there was a panel, and in the panel one was a scientist, and the other two or three were astrologers. And at a drop of a hat, the scientist was saying that there is no problem if you look at the eclipse with your naked eyes. And the astrologer was saying, no Baba, if you look at the sun with the naked eyes while the eclipse is going on, there are a lot of ultraviolet rays, concentrated ones, which are very harmful to you, to your eyes. You can even, damage your retina. No, all this is thousands of years old astrology. Who believes in this? Who believes in this? Our Vedas declared the distance between the earth and the sun, the earth and the moon, thousands of years ago. And the knowledge that these scientists or these modern people are carrying on in the name of modern thinking is only 300 years old. See? But he was not ready to, and he was sarcastically laughing at them. And these fellows, the other three astrologers, they understood. They were like they were just keeping calm, not reacting, and he was getting frustrated. Why there is no argument here? Such are today's professors. Such are today's academicians. There is no original thought. Take something from there, take something from there, take something from there. Some stupid fellow has done some research in the past, collate everything together, and out of that something new will get created. It is possible, no doubt. That is also a valid way, but it has its limits. 500 years ago, the so-called Western scientists or Western knowledge that today's scientists are mimicking, those same people were believing that the earth is flat, that it ends after the Atlantic Ocean. They did not know that the earth was round, and when it was declared that it is round, Aristotle was burnt alive for that blasphemy. And here is our culture, thousands of years, not 100 or 200, thousands of years, it is knowing, living with this knowledge. Common man knows that the earth is round. So which is more scientific? Just because we have not done the research? But this research was done. How did they know the distance between earth and the sun? From within. There's a more subtle world which is more expansive, which is more revealing than the outside world. In the outside world, you cannot reach everywhere. But in the inner world, just by mere thought, we can reach and come to know. And for that purpose, our rishis, they made their mind single pointed so that they had the power to penetrate that thought and make it reveal whatever they wanted to know. Not they wanted to know, they surrendered to that particular idea and that idea revealed itself. But today scientists, they don't even have this aspect included within their research. This is how Ayurveda, Jyotish, etc. came about. But these fellows, they are thoughtless, and their stupidity keeps increasing with the passage of time. And what is the epitome of it? Epitome is nobody should take anyone else's name but mine. I am the most important. Just like cats and dogs, whenever there is a group of people at home, they always come and sit in the center. They want to be the center of attraction. These fellows are such. They will hijack any conversation. They will try to do something which is not the norm, just to attract attention so that everyone looks at them, everyone thinks of them, everyone talks about their stupidity. They think others are talking about their intelligence. No, it's their stupidity. Then they increase their power still more so that no one else should take anybody else's name. So how do they increase their power? That could be by way of siddhis, that could be by way of money, that could be by way of writing more and more books, there is one person in Melbourne, they have, 20 degrees. All that lady has done in her life is study and get degrees. She has done so many graduate degrees, so many masters. But for what? She doesn't work. But every year she will join a new course and complete it, and then complete it, and complete it. Is that a qualification? Guinness Book of World Record, I think. See? Similar person was there in India. I was reading one book, one Mahatma's biography, and he also, any course you put him, physics, chemistry, he had PhDs, he had doctorates and masters, about 30-40 degrees he has had, and within 1 year he used to finish all the masters. It didn't take him 2 years. His intellect was so sharp. And one day he came across one Mahatma, I can't remember the name now. One day he came across the Mahatma, and he says, and the Mahatma, just looking at him, told, Mahatmas know, they did not know, never met him before. He says, no point pursuing all those degrees. Your itch to learn more and more and more and more, it will never satisfy. So he said, then how will it get satisfied? He says, it will get satisfied only when you apply this mind to Vedanta. And he initiated him into the Upanishads. And then he stopped studying because this topic is such where there is no conclusion. See, there is no conclusion because you vanish. The one who is seeking the knowledge vanishes. And he became a great Mahatma in the 40s, 50s. Thus, when their egoism increases, the sea of their arrogance crosses its limits. When their arrogance becomes exuberant, their passions get excited, and in its heat, the fire of wrath is kindled. So when I have, my name is there, my fame is there, I've got the wealth, I can satisfy any desire, and when someone crosses their path, crosses their word, crosses their demands, comes in between their desires, immediately the lava bursts out, the wrath, the anger, and they are ready to destroy whoever comes in their way or who has become an obstacle. Then, just as a big store of oil and ghee catches a blazing fire in hot season and it becomes fanned by a strong wind, so their egotism becomes strong and their arrogance becomes shrouded in passion and wrath. So it's a blazing fire. Living full of passion, and when the desires are not satisfied, the next stage is anger. So remember, the sequence is, when we give attention to something more than required, then we get attached to that particular thing. Attachment leads to desire. Desire can be satisfied or not satisfied. If it is satisfied, it becomes greed. Greed can never be satisfied. And if desire is not satisfied, it leads to anger. So on one hand, the desire not satisfied leads to anger, and desire satisfied leads to greed, and you are passionately going after whatever you desire. And eventually, because greed can never be fully satisfied, so whoever comes in the way of your desire, again anger. So the result of desire is anger. And anger leads to delusion. Delusion leads to lack of discrimination. No, lack of memory. And lack of memory leads to lack of discrimination. And once a person doesn't know what is right and wrong in life, that is the fall of man. So catch yourself. Don't sing your praises. Don't live a life of attachment and passion. And that attachment is only to what? To possessions and relations. This is where the passion is. This is where the attachment is. Therefore, our culture says, Sukha Dukkha Samay Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo. Remain equanimous. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Keep your senses under control. Keep your mind under control. Then you are worthy of being called a man or human being. But if we are a slave of our own desires, then we are worse than animals. Because animals at least follow the nature's law. They only desire their partner when the season is there. Rest of the year they don't. They are attached with their children only till they become independent. Once they become independent, there is no attachment. And human being remains attached to possessions and relations till the last breath. Correct the course of our life. Correct it. That is why we are studying Bhagavad Gita. That is why you are looking at these Asuri Sampatti. so that we don't become one of those. We correct our position, we correct who we are, and there's no justification. Whatever the government says, whatever the society says, whatever the modern education says, you have to decide. You accept Bhagavad Gita as the final word which is going to transform you as a person, or you are going to take the worldly knowledge as the final word which is going to make you individualistic. We are studying Bhagavad Gita to dissolve the individuality. But today's education enhances the individuality, concretizes the individuality. It's more about individual right, individual right. See? Then he says, तैसा अहंकारू बळा आला दर्पू काम क्रोधी गूढला या दोहीचा मेळू झाला जयांच्या ठाई ते आपुलिया सवेशा मग कोणी कोणी हिंसा या प्राणियांते विरेशा न साधती गा पहिले तव धनुर्धरा आपुलिया मांस रुधिरा वेचू करीती अभिचारा लागोनिया तेथ जाळीती जिये देहे या माझी जो मी आहे तया आत्मया मज धघाये वाजती ते आणि अभिचार कीतीही उपद्रवी जे जे तुले काही तेथ चैतन्य मी पाही सीणू पावे. He says, their arrogance becomes shrouded in passion and wrath. And when these, see, you must have seen many people, when they are not able to argue or they are not able to discuss, they raise their volume of the voice. We all be guilty of this. When we know we are getting, we don't have a reason, we are not able to convince the other person, we raise our voice to convince the other person. We raise our voice to show that you are getting angry, that they should succumb, they should listen. This is exactly the Asuri person. When these two, egotism and arrogance, combine, will they then hesitate to cause injury to others according to their whims? When you are the greatest in your own eyes and you have got this dambha, this arrogance, then, and you have the power, you got the wealth, then you are ready to met out punishment to anything or anyone at a whim of at a drop of a penny. Look at these yogis, those who are Kundalini masters or Hatha Yoga masters. You will see many of them. If they have not realized the truth, they are doing it only at the body level. Keeping body identification intact, they are continuing the Hatha Yoga practice or the Kundalini Yoga practice. At a drop of if this virus enters them, that I am a great yogi, and they get some siddhis, and they think they have achieved something great in their life. And if someone crosses their way, they don't hesitate to curse them. because their mind is single pointed. That's why they have achieved it. Whether it is success, whether in the worldly sense, or it is success at the subtle sense in the way of siddhis. To become successful in life, you need a single pointed, dedicated mind. And they don't think twice before cursing, before bad mouthing someone. See? This you will not find. You will not find Raman Maharshi ever abusing anyone or cursing anyone. You will not find Ramakrishna Paramahans abusing or cursing anyone. You will not find Jnaneshwar Maharaj, Nivrittinath or anyone ever abusing or cursing anyone, even having all the siddhis. But they did not go after siddhis, they came. Their attention is on the truth. But those who are doing tapasya, tapasya means self-imposed penance, in the name of sadhana. What is that? Oh, bhai, I chant 26 malas every day. And if someone becomes an obstacle in their chanting 26 malas, immediately anger and scolding or curse. See? So when tapasya is not offered at the feet of the Lord, it leads to this type of personality. Ravana was a tapasvi, that's why he got the boon from Brahmaji. But we are not talking about, he did not surrender to Brahmaji. He merely, with body identification, he made his mind single pointed towards the Creator. See? Bhasmasura, again a asura, single pointedly did 10,000 years of tapas. And when you do tapasya, God has to come and give you the Ashirvad. But what was the intention? Intention was that anyone I touch with my hand must become ashes. And so he wanted to convert Lord Shiva into ashes. Because he says, how do I know that you have given the boon? Dhruva, when he was sitting for 6 months, 8-year-old boy, he wanted to sit on the lap of his father. And because his stepbrother was there, his stepmother said, unless and until you don't take the birth from my womb, you cannot sit on the lap of your father. So he says, that is not possible, I am already born. So Dhruva's mother said, the only person I cannot also help you, you pray to Lord Narayana. So this young boy in the night got up and left the palace. But what was his intention? Not to merge into God. His intention was, I want to sit in the lap of my father. Now Narayana has become his father and he is still sitting in his lap in the sky, the Dhruvatara. See? So what is the intention? When we are listening now, right now, when we are listening to various satsangs, where is our attention? Is our attention on the divine, or is our attention on wanting something from the divine? When we go to the temple, are we going for the sake of the Lord? Or are we going there out of habit? Or are we going there out of deep reverence and love to remember, to see the Lord in His all glory in the temple? When we do puja, where is our attention? Is our preparation and the puja and the ucharan and the chanting or the mantras, all that is happening with deep reverence to the Lord, where we are continuously remembering the Lord in and through, you are in that poise? or you're sitting in the puja and the phone is next to you and continuously the priest is, poor fellow, is telling you samarpayami gandham samarpayami, and suddenly in between ting, and you forget what he told you and you check whose message has come, and you are telling your wife to do this or your husband to do that, or getting distracted by n number of things, but not focusing on the divine. The more we go further away from the thought of the divine, more is the asuric vritti prevalent within us. The closer we go to the divine by thinking, initially only by thinking, with the disposition of being one with him, then this asuri vritti starts leaving us. You don't have to drop it, it will start dropping. You only make one shift. Instead of being in love with name, fame, desires, passions, lusts, power, control, fall in love with the divine. Fall in love with the divine that this life is, or the Lord is, whichever way. Otherwise, we are going the wrong way. Will they hesitate to cause injury to others according to their whims? O archer, O Arjuna, they offer in sacrifice their own blood and flesh in order to secure success in black magic. This is what Ravana did. He cut his head and offered in the Havan Kund. Once, twice, thrice, so many times he did. Then Brahmaji had to come. Are bhai Baba, enough. Accepted. See? When they torture their body in this way, I, dwelling in their body, also suffer. See? Tapasya must be done as an offering to the divine. But when that tapasya is done, and how do we know when it is done by the arrogance? When people say, Swamiji, what time do you get up? I said, why? No, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, Brahma Muhurt. Acha, Brahma Muhurt. Brahma means the infinite reality, Muhurt is auspicious time. So is there an auspicious time during the day? Or is the whole life auspicious? Is the Brahman pervading the entire past, present, future? Or is Brahman only in the morning 4 to 6? No, now by the grace of God, I can sit for 3 hours, 4 hours continuously in meditation. See? And outside when you see them, they are barking away at their children. If 3-4 hours you are able to sit in meditation, then a big shift has to come about in our disposition. I am taking 36 malas every day. I am doing 36 malas every day. And then you say, Arey Mama, but it is not about you doing 36 malas. It is the Lord who is inspiring us and giving us the strength to do it. Yeah, you understand what I mean. See? Then what can we say? Yeah, okay, continue. You can't teach such a person. Because only that person can be taught who is available. Asuras are not available. Asuras are highly egoistical, and once they make a decision, then they will make or break in order to achieve it. in whichever way manner they want to. So Bhagavan is saying that in the hearts of these asuras, I alone am sitting. So when they are doing such disservice to themselves, I alone am suffering. See? And when they cause harm to others through black magic, they cause suffering to me, who dwell in their bodies as self. This is wishing ill to other people. See? So there are today, you must have heard about the black magic. It's prevalent in all societies, and there are counter actions also possible. Because for no reason of yours, someone is doing black magic on you, making your life difficult. You have never done anything wrong, then why all this is going wrong? And then to some specialists, when you go and show, this modern science will give you some medicine and make, just like we take Panadol and forget our headache is not gone. It becomes numb. The head becomes numb because of Panadol. So modern science will just give you anti-depression tablets, this tablet, that tablet, sleeping tablets, and you will forget your problems. But that is not the solution. There are people who can pinpoint who the person is doing these things. We should not go into that area, but anything is possible in this creation, and therefore for every problem there is a solution also. So there are these people who can counteract the people who do black magic. So they are, see, there was one lady in Bombay, and she was a school teacher, and there was a kid from some other religion, and his mother passed away, and that child, bright child, about 11-12 years old, and completely distraught because mother has passed away, and his performance started going down in the class, always sad, depressed. So this lady, who was married but had no kid, and she started seeing and feeling for that kid, and he became close to her and slowly came out of the depression. And must have been, when he went home, he told his Abbu that, hey, this teacher is like this teacher is like that, she gave me this, she gave me that, she told me this, she told me that. Now the father and the uncle and the aunties in the joint family, they started wondering, who is this lady coming from a different religion? They thought the lady is trying to help their child only to convert that child. See the negative thinking. And they did black magic, and she was getting intense pains, and this for no reason. She was helping, but she's getting pain, she's getting stomach cramps, she's getting accident after accident, and in the night, in the sleep, many things were happening. And then Swamiji sent her to some person in Mysore, and he pinpointed who is the person. And she didn't have to do anything. All the bad that they were doing, he created a kavach. Kavach is an armor. So just like when you go to a mirror, what does the mirror reflect? Whatever comes in front of it. So whatever they were, the bad incantations which they were sending towards this lady, now she has got a kavach, all of that went back to them only. This you and me cannot do it. So for these asuras, there is a counter-offensive also available. And the best counter-offensive is This what I just now told you is from the worldly point of view. But this Asura and the divine and the undivine, they are both in our mind alone. And the world oriented thoughts, control oriented, ego oriented thoughts, passion oriented thoughts, desire oriented, lust oriented, power oriented, they are natural, they keep coming. We have to exercise extreme awareness in order to not fall and succumb to these type of thoughts and go the asuric way, the undivine way. Extreme vigilance is required. Extreme alertness is required. They cause suffering to me who dwell in their bodies as self. So when these people do wrong with other people, in the life in those people is also the Lord alone. आणि अभिचारा वेगळे विपाये जे अवगळे तया टाकिती इटाळे पैशून्याची सती आणि सत्पुरुष दानशील याज्ञिक तपस्वी अलौकिक संन्यासी जे का भक्त हन महात्मे ये माझी निजाची धामे निर्वाळली होम धर्मे श्रौतादिकी तया द्वेषाचे निकाळ कूटे वासटो नी तिखटे कुबोलाची सदटे सूती कांडे. He says, if any person escapes from the clutches of this black magic, they belabor them with their sly gossip. These demonical persons hurl sharp and poisoned arrows of slander at chaste women, saints, men of charitable disposition, great ascetics and monks, or devotees and magnanimous souls, who are my favorite places of abode, which have become holy by the performance of scriptural rite. So all those societies, look at the Kamsa, look at the Ravana, look at the Jarasandha, they only persecuted all these people. For them, all the women folk were for their pick. Then anyone who had lot of wealth, anyone who had lot of power, tapasvi, saints, sages, sannyasis, they were destroyed by these people. See, and same thing is happening today also. You go to so many countries, if the doctor, like they say this, the doctor who said that there is a new virus strain which has come out, today he is not to be seen anywhere. He is vanished from the face of the earth. They killed him. Those who want freedom, they kill them. Those who want freedom of speech, they kill them. See, these are all asuri disposition, where we have to be in control, and the entire 1.4 billion must listen to me, because I am the president for life. See, this will keep happening all over the world. This has always happened, and this will keep happening. This is what the world is. World is made up of opposites, good and the bad, divine and the undivine. So you cannot have only bad and no good, and you cannot have only good and no bad. You cannot have husband by himself. No, he has to have a wife only, then he is called a husband. You cannot be called a parent without a child. No, you have to have a child, only then you are called a parent. Coexist. The day and the night coexist. Husband and wife coexist. Top and bottom coexist. Inside, outside coexist. Consciousness and matter coexist. Right and left coexist. Everything and nothing and everything coexist. See? Manifestation, unmanifestation coexists. That is creation. And it's always in balance. But when we say this is creation. Now, when we are studying Bhagavad Gita, are we studying creation? Or we want to transcend the creation? See? We want to transcend the creation. Creation, all these opposites. How do you know all these opposites? Because we have a mind. And everything in this world we only know by way of thoughts. We want to go beyond the mind. That is our true nature. That is our natural state. And this Arjuna had understood, but he was not able to remain steady there. And therefore the question that why am I not steady in this knowledge? What is happening? Then the 16th chapter began. And the Lord is explaining to him which thoughts are conducive to bring about steadiness in that disposition and which thoughts are not conducive and take you away from that steadiness. They make the mind unsteady. What are those thoughts? These are those thoughts, the asuric thoughts. The asuric disposition makes the mind restless, makes the mind agitated, makes the mind egoistic, makes the mind arrogant, makes the mind jealous, angry, hypocritical. So we must refrain from these type of thoughts and dispositions. These demonical persons hurl sharp. We already read that, no? Which have become holy by the performance of, who are my favorite places of abode. So, where does the Lord plentifully available? He is available in the temples, He is available in the scriptures, He is available in the saints and sages, He is available in the devotees, He is available in those people who are doing their duties. And these asuras, they are against all these people because they cannot stand. How can these people be content without having anything? So sannyasi, without having anything, he is happy. Asura, he knows happiness only when he gets more and more and more. His assessment of success is the more wealth, more power, more control. And he thinks, how come this fellow, he's got nothing and he's happy? How can it be so? I think he's a hypocrite. Kill. Finish. Give him trouble. This is what they did to Jesus. This is what they did to Aristotle. This is what they did to all great people in the Middle Ages in Europe. See? So now, till here is the characteristics of the Asura people. Now, what is their destination? Those who follow such path? Bhagwan says, Tanaham dvishata kruran sansareshu naradhaman kshipamya jasrama shubhan asurishveva yonishu. Tanaham dvishata kruran sansareshu naradhaman kshipamya jastrama shubhan asurishveva yonishu. He says, I always throw such evil, hateful, cruel and vile men in the world into demonical wombs. into the demonical wombs. What are the demonical wombs? We'll see. So, in other words, whether you call it hell or you call it demonical womb, one and the same. Such people are continuously miserable in every situation. Anyway, let's see. ऐसे आघवाची परी प्रवर्तले प्रवर्तले माझ्या वैरी तया पापिया जे मी करी ते ऐक पा तरी मनुष्य देहाचा तागा घेऊनी रुसती जे जगा ते पदवी हिरोनी पैगा ऐसे ठेवी जे क्लेश गावीचा उकरडा भवपुरीचा पानवडा ते तमोयोनी तया मूढा वृत्तीची दे मग आहाराचे नावे तृणही जेथ नुगवे ते व्याघ्र वृश्चिक आडवे तैसिये करी ते तक्षुधा दुःखे बहुते तोडूनी खाती आपण याते मरमरो मागुते होतची असती का आपुला गरळ जळीती अंगाची पेदळी ते सर्पची करी बिळी निरुंधला. He says, now here how I deal with these sinful persons who are always hostile to me. So Bhagwan, he is not seeing himself as separate from anyone, because he is equally present in the people with Daivi Sampatti, and equally he is available in the hearts of the Asuras also. He is not against anyone. But people, whatever actions you do, there will be a result. So what is the result of these fellows, these Asuras, who are against the good, the divine, the followers of the divine, the Vairagis, the Sannyasis, those who are doing their duties, those who are happy with minimum, those who don't have passion to accumulate more and more and more. What does he do? He says, those who, assuming a human body, bear hatred to the world, I deprive them of their human form and deal with them as follows. So such Asuric Vritti people, Asura disposition people, he says, I take away their human form. Why Lord is saying that I take away their human form? Because human form is the only opportunity, is the only blessing, is the only doorway to the divine. Gods cannot come to know the divine. The Asuras cannot come to know the divine. We are not talking divine by the way of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. We are talking about Paramatma, the Brahman, the one without a second principle. See? And this human body is an opportunity, it's a blessing. We must have done something that we have got this human body. But if we are having the disposition as given in the previous verses of the Asura, then the Lord will correct his mistake. He will stop giving us the human body because we are not choosing to grow. We are choosing to become more animalistic, more hateful, more evil. So he says that I deprive them of their human form and deal with them as follows. I place these fools in the tamasic order, in the dunghill of the hamlet, in the form of afflictions, or the drain water of the town in the form of worldly life. So what do you find? You find yourself to become that you become a maggot, or you become the worms in the drain. You become a pig who eats only the dirt. Tamasic orders, where tamasic means they're lazy, body identified, they're so ignorant. Majority of the animal kingdom is ignorant. Majority. Yet within that animal kingdom you will find so many cows are being rescued in India. In the Western world, so many cats and dogs are in the houses. They are animals, but something must be there. They are there. They are attracted to, some of them are attracted to the satsang and chantings. Then I make sure that they take birth in the species of tiger, scorpion, etc. in forest where they cannot even have grass to eat. Suffering from pangs of hunger, they bite their own flesh and after death take birth in the same order again and again. See? If one crow dies, all the living crows, they attack that crow to finish off the meat. If one tiger dies, all the other tigers go and eat that tiger only. So if we have a human birth and we understand and it has clicked by the grace of God that this human birth is an opportunity to transcend birth and death, to transcend individuality, then let's perform such actions by which either we transcend and come to abide in the reality in this life, if not, perform such actions that we get human birth again. And human birth doesn't come because you have done your, because you are doing your duty towards your wife and children. Human birth doesn't come because you have done your duty towards the society. Human birth comes if you have done the duty towards wife, children, society, considering that they are expressions of the divine. So your orientation is to the divine, not the form, not attachment, not relationship. When this angle of approach is there, then there is a possibility that we are going the right way. Suffering from pangs of hunger, they bite their own flesh and after death take birth in the same order again and again. Or I give them birth in the order of reptiles and confine them into narrow holes where in the heat of their own poison their skin gets parched. And that is why every year snakes have to take off, shed their skin and allow the new skin to grow. Here in human life, you have got freedom. You can travel anywhere. You can imagine anything. You can eat variety. So choose wisely. Don't become an animal. Otherwise, he'll correct. Next time, you will get only what is it? Tiger and scorpion. Eat meat. No grass. When we are dedicated to the divine, from Rajasic food, we have to come to Sattvic food, and Sattvic food is the vegetarian food. Meat is the Rajasic food. Nothing wrong, but we are evolving. if you have evolved through the various yonis to come to be the human being, then as a human being also we need to evolve from tamasic to rajasic to sattvic. Not only by way of food. Food, I don't mean only the food that we are eating. When our eyes are only looking at flesh, the opposite sex, we are eating by our eyes. That form, desiring that form, lusty for that form. Nobody else knows, but you know that you are an asura at that moment, or are you a sura? See? So we have to be very clear that as a human being, we have to move towards sattva, and sattva, sattvic disposition, is the gateway to transcendence. As long as we are tamasic, lazy, indolent, procrastinating, committing the same mistake again and again, such people, they can never think of the reality, get entry into reality. Entry into reality is only for the inspired one, not a lazy one. Okay, you got inspired. Now you are so inspired that you are rajasic. Rajasic, if you are inspired, but that inspiration is not due to God, that inspiration is on account of the world, that inspiration is on account of the power, the control, like these asuras. So when inspiration is guided by tamas, it creates an asura. When inspiration is guided by sattva, then a seeker is born. Then you are moving towards the divine. That is why, if you remember, not in the recent past, the kings, they used to have educated people, Brahmin people, saints and sages, who used to guide them. King is a rajasic, he is a kshatriya, he is taking the guidance of a Brahmin. Brahmin meaning who is educated in the scriptures, who is dedicated to the Lord or the truth, and living a life of non-accumulation and desires. Such a person does not have fear to tell the truth. He does not tell something to please the king. He will tell as it is. He is straightforward. So when the king is taking the guidance of such a person, he will also go in the right direction. But when the king takes the guidance from sycophants, when the king takes the guidance from ignorant people, then he will go the wrong way. Democracy is rule of the people, by the people, for the people. And majority people in democracy are always ignorant, fools, uneducated. And they are electing the governments. Then we will get what we have asked for. Because the educated people don't vote. Today's so-called Brahmins, they call themselves Brahmin, born to a Brahmin parent, but eating meat, drinking alcohol, and they don't feel shy. They call us also for the party, and I have to find some excuse to get out of it. In the name of old times. And they are Brahmins. What Brahminism is there? Brahmin is he who is dedicated to Brahman, who is dedicated to the truth. Yes, there are many people who were wrong. Ratnakar also used to drink, he used to kill, but he became Valmiki Rishi. But are we improving? Okay, we began like this, but are we improving? Just because we have learnt the Rudram, we do some pujas, Every now and then we do some collective event at home, do Satyanarayan Puja. That doesn't qualify you to become a Brahmin. That is hypocrisy. It is clearly said, only by guna and karma, only by cultivating the positive qualities, and those qualities, whatever you have studied in the scriptures, they must be practiced in life also, karma. So your actions must mirror the convictions that you are having. If our actions are not mirroring the convictions, if the conviction is I am divine, and action is Arey yaar, I need to increase my bank balance, totally wrong. It's not mirroring the conviction, which means we are making a fool of ourselves, thinking that we believe that we are divine. Both must synchronize, both must integrate, the knowledge as well as the action. Brahmin is he in whom both the knowledge, jnana, and karma, the action, are integrated. So we should not waste this life that we have. Yes, we are coming to satsangs, fantastic, but this is not end in all. The knowledge that we are getting here, it must be alertly practiced in our daily life. Because here this is only 1.5 hours in a week. If you are attending some other classes, but still out of 24 hours it is only 1.5 hours. What about the rest of the 22.5 hours? We have to alertly, that's the price we have to pay. Or I give them birth in the order of reptiles and confine them into narrow holes, wherein the heat of their own poison, their skin gets parched. Then in the 410th verse, OV, he says, 411th, परिघेतलाश्वासु घापे ये तुले नहीं मापे विसावा तया नाटोपे दुर्जनासी ऐसे नी कल्पाचिया कोडी गणिता ही संख्या थोडी ते तुला वेळू न काढी क्लेशवनी तया तरी तयासी जेथ जाणे तेथिचे हे पहिले पेणे ते पावोनी ये रे दारुणे Nahoti dukkhe. He says, I do not allow these wicked persons to rest even for a brief span of time, taken by the exhalation of the breath. I do not release them from their agonies, even if they have they have to remain in these conditions for a number of kalpas. Kalpa is 74. One kalpa is equal to one cycle of the Chatur Yugas, the 4 Yugas, Satyug, Tretayug, Dwapar Yug, Kal Yug, is equal to 1 kalpa. 74 kalpas. No, I am saying wrong. 74 cycles of Chatur Yugas. 74 cycles of these 4 Yugas is equal to 1 kalpa, and that 1 kalpa is equal to 1 day of Brahmaji. Equally long is the night of Brahmaji, and then again the drama begins. So for that long period of time, the asuras, they keep revolving in the ignorant yonis. Imagine, we are living for 70, 80, 90 years, whole time. If we are not aware, if we are not God oriented, most of the time only living for survival. only living so that disease doesn't come, death should be sudden. Many people tell that way. If the thought of death is coming into your mind, individuality is very strong. Fear of death is coming into your mind, individuality is very strong. Imagine then the lower yonis. If you are, as a human being, if you are thinking, you are making yourself foolhardily believe that every year is a birthday. No, every year is a death day, because you are going closer to the death. It's not a birthday. We are fooling ourselves. But imagine the other yonis: cats, dogs, reptiles, mosquitoes, insects. There is an inherent urge to survive in every living thing. Mosquitoes lives for only few hours maybe, and then dies. What it could be going through, and it doesn't even know that it is alive. It's just, it popped out, it lives for few hours, and then it dies. Then again it's born as a mosquito, again it dies. The reason Lord is telling this is to scare us. Nothing else. Sometimes fear is a good motivator. Like our parents, they used to scare us. If you don't behave, you see that, when we were kids, the elephant, the Buddhist bhikshus, they used to come, and with the elephant, and on the elephant, on both, one bhikshu is sitting on the top, and about 10-15 are roaming around, going from house to house, and they got these jholis, and the jholis are full of food. I don't know how much they will eat, these 15 people, but they kept collecting. And the parents used to tell, if you don't listen, if you don't learn the 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, next time they come around, see, they're taking the children away with them, those who are not listening. I'll give you to them as bhiksha. And we used to be scared. That is why in the scriptures, heaven and hell are given. See? So that we choose to do the right thing in our life. Otherwise, what is the consequence? The consequence is hell. Consequence is these lower yonis. If we don't follow the divine way and we follow the undivine way and behave in that manner with passion, lust, etc., then this is the conclusion. Lord will correct his mistake. See? So sometimes, if we accept this is how it is, then maybe this was the wake-up call for us. No, I don't want to be like that. Yes, I know there are a lot of shortcomings in me, but there are a lot of positives also in me. By Lord's grace, Lord, please, I will remember you. You take me out of these shortcomings which I find myself incapable of bringing myself out. Only you can do it for me. And for that, I am ready to pay the price to remember you. Make that commitment in this life. I do not release them from their agonies, even if they have to remain in these conditions for a number of kalpas. This in fact is the first step in the long journey leading to their ultimate destination. Then what happens? That mosquito, if it comes in the presence of a master, then he will get a higher birth. Just like Naradji once, he went and asked Lord Narayana, what is the greatness of satsang? So Narayan Bhagwan said, don't worry about the question, but just just do what I'm telling you. What is to be done? You go to that tree, and if you pluck the bark of the tree, you will see a spider inside. Just go and go there. So Naradji, he will always listen to Lord Narayana. He went there. He opened the bark. The spider was there, big, big eyes. He looked at Naradji. Straight away he gave up his life. Then he came back to Lord Narayana. Narayana says, okay, don't worry. Again go back to the same tree. Again he went back to the same tree. And he said, what do I do? See, there on the tree there is a parrot, and that parrot is about to, the egg is going to be hatched in a few minutes, few seconds. So you go there. So he goes there, climbs the tree, and out of the egg, the chook, the baby parrot just pops out and opens its eyes, and the first thing, instead of seeing the mother, it sees Naradji. The moment it sees Naradji, it gives its life straight away. Arey baap re. Again he goes back, he doesn't understand what is going on. He says, okay, just another few times, go again. In the same kingdom, near the edge of the forest, there is a farmer, and he has got some cows. His cow is going to give birth to a calf. Go there. He went there. The calf was born, and the moment he stood up on his fore, he saw Naradji, and straight away he died. Now Naradji has got Gau Hatya on his head. Came back, Bhagwan, what did you make me do? Now I've become guilty of Gau Hatya. I thought you are telling me what is the importance of satsang here. Everyone who's looking at me is dying. He says, okay, last time. And he goes again. He says, goes to the kingdom, same kingdom where that land is. And the king, the queen is about to give birth to a baby. And Naradji reaches, baby comes out screaming. And the king is so pleased that the birth of the child, Narad Muni himself, the great sage, has come. Immediately he brings the baby and gives to the child, gives the child, the baby, to Naradji. Naradji says, I need to bless him in private, not in front of anyone. So he goes into the room. The moment he goes into the room, he looks at the child, afraid that now he will be guilty of a human death, waiting that the child is going to die now. But instead, that newborn baby started speaking to him. And the baby said, Naradji, what have I done that first you gave me darshan when I was a spider, then you gave me then I was born as a parrot, there also you came and gave me darshan. I did not even do any action, no good karmas. But then again you came and gave me darshan when I was a calf, because the cow is a much higher in the species compared to spider and parrot. And there also you came and blessed me unasked. And straight away I got a human birth. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Immediately it clicked to Naradji the importance of satsang. So all these adhamayoni, all these tamasic creatures, only when they are by the grace of God alone they can come up. Otherwise they keep rotating in the same yoni again and again and again and again and again and again. That does not mean that you say, I am a Brahmin, I am a human being, I am a higher species, so let me kill all the mosquitoes and let me kill all the cockroaches and let me kill all the animals so that they they are born in the higher species because I am a higher species. No, not that way. No begone spray. See? So if we want to avoid that destiny for ourselves, let's, whatever tidbits of asuric pravritti, asuric characteristics are there lurking within us, let's pluck them out of our system. And there are only two. It's living at desire level with arrogance. Take it out. If you want to desire, desire Lord. Desire the self. Desire the Paramatma. That is the destination for a human being. Destination, we are not given a human body to desire the world, to desire the opposite sex, to live a passionate life. No. We must be passionate towards the God, to the divine, because that is what our true nature is. And in this way, this in fact is the first step in the long journey leading to their ultimate destination. If you live by the Darwinian theory, it will take you millions of years before you reach the human birth again. See? Theory of evolution. In this kalpa or the next kalpa or the next kalpa, God knows. God only knows. So let's not live in the hope that that according to the Darwinian theory, I have reached a human birth, now I will remain a human birth. Bhagwan is cancelling it. If you don't live properly, I'll put you back from where the creation began. Amoeba. then do the hard yaka to come back to the human birth. Will they not then suffer greater agonies when they reach the final destination? See? He who gets depressed in life, हो गया 9 बज गए. He who gets depressed in life is only because he is living a worldly oriented life. He is not living God oriented life. That is why restlessness, agitation, depression, sleeplessness, self-doubt, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, suicidal attitudes, addictions, all this is because we are living a world oriented life. We are living a desire oriented life. And desire for the world, desire for the finite. Then all these what I just now mentioned, that happens. But when that same desire is directed towards the divine, oh mind, please do that. Oh Lord, guide my mind towards yourself. And when that happens, then the integration of personality starts coming about. And let's see what happens next week in the 20th. Now only 3 verses left. 22, 23, 24. 4 more verses. 5 more verses. We'll see it in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for a minute or two, or half a minute.